What a weekend for the Cowboys. I think it went just about as good as possible. Jerry Jones likes to keep his stars in Dallas and is. Dak Prescott got his bag with a new record-breaking contract extension only a few weeks after CeeDee Lamb was extended too. Two studs locked up for the Cowboys now, and they follow it up with a dominant 33-17 win against the Browns on the road. It was an impressive victory. And of course, Dak led the way just hours after his new deal was announced. While on the other side, Deshaun Watson just continues to get even worse, which is hilarious. All the while, Dak Prescott is thriving, especially already in week one. The biggest question for the Cowboys all offseason was these contract extensions. Dallas had a quiet free agency and got a lot of shit for it, but I think it was maybe to figure out the money. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb had to get paid, especially after last year. There is no good way to argue they didn't deserve extensions. Dak is obviously a leader, and he's been the Cowboys starter since 2016, and he's coming off of arguably his best season as he led the league with 36 touchdowns and only threw 9 interceptions. He's a very good quarterback, and it'd be a tall task to get someone better. So his extension only makes sense, and now Dak is the highest paid player in NFL history after agreeing to a 4-year, $240 million extension with $231 million guaranteed. Ironically, it passed the Deshaun Watson contract, which was $230 million. The Cowboys definitely hope that the Dak deal works out better than the Watson contract did. Dak gets a $60 million average annually, the most in NFL history, passing Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence. Dak also has an $80 million signing bonus, passing the $75 million Jordan Love got. If he didn't get a new deal, Dak would be playing on the last season of a 4-year, $160 million extension he signed in 2021, and the Cowboys can't franchise tag him or trade him either. Now, Dak is locked up through 2028, just like his top wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, who got a 4-year, $136 million deal to make him the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, behind only Justin Jefferson, who broke the market. Lamb got $100 million guaranteed and a $38 million signing bonus, the biggest ever for a wide receiver. It's two big deals, but so important for the Cowboys, and the Micah Parsons extension is looming. He'll be eligible for a new deal in the offseason. It's a lot of money Dallas is having to shell out, but it's hard to argue against it. The postseason success hasn't quite been there, but the Cowboys have been consistently good, and they have to keep the core together. Of course, the big knock on Dallas is the lack of postseason success, which is fair. Jason Garrett was fired for it. Now, Mike McCarthy has gone down a similar path. The Cowboys have won 12 games in 3 straight seasons, but only won a single playoff game. There is a lot more to be desired. It hasn't worked out, but the roster is built well, and the Cowboys have a ton of potential, so you have to keep the band together. Jerry Jones isn't a great owner, I agree, but the Cowboys have been successful for a reason. Dallas is built around Dak Prescott very well. CeeDee Lamb is obviously the big one, and it's why you had to extend him, but I think getting Brandon Cooks was big, and Jake Ferguson is a good guy to have at tight end. The offensive line is still pretty good. You know, it's not what it once was during the early Dak Prescott era, of course, but it's a good unit, and it's been retooled. Funny enough, the one big weakness is probably at running back with Ezekiel Elliott, who certainly isn't the player he once was, although I think it's really cool to see him back in Dallas. Then Rico Dowdle is there too. It's a good offense, and offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer was cooking last year. Dak was fantastic and 100% earned his new deal, but not only is the offense good, but the defense is great. Dallas lost Dan Quinn, who left to be the Commanders head coach, but hired former Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer to replace him. I think he's a home run hire, and he inherited a top defense in the league. Dallas did lose some pieces, but it shouldn't matter. Micah Parsons is just incredible. He's one of the best defensive guys in the NFL and is an offensive nightmare. Parsons is the most important player on the Cowboys defense, for sure. The defensive line is great, especially DeMarcus Lawrence. Mozzie Smith was a 2023 first-round pick. Then the secondary has some serious playmakers. Interception machine Deron Bland did start the season on injured reserve, but Dallas has Trayvon Diggs and Malik Hooker at safety alongside Donovan Wilson. You certainly can't argue with the talent on the Cowboys roster. The question is if they can put it all together. As a Washington fan, I obviously do root against the Cowboys. They are maybe my least favorite team in the NFL. I think I'd actually go with the Eagles, but I don't like Dallas. However, I do think that the Cowboys are a very, very fun team to watch. I haven't always been a Dak Prescott believer, and I truly do think that he's actually gotten better over the years. I think at this point, he is 100% a top 10 NFL quarterback, and he is, I think, closer to 5 than he is to 10 at this point in his career. He deserves every single penny he's getting. He has been incredible the last few seasons, especially last year. And with the talent around him, this is a Cowboys team that should win playoff games. It's a Cowboys team that should be able to make a run. They just haven't yet. And it does feel kind of reminiscent of Mike McCarthy when he was with Green Bay. He had Aaron Rodgers. They had some very good players supporting Aaron Rodgers. And still, Green Bay found ways to lose every single year and come up short other than their one Super Bowl season. It felt like the biggest narrative with Mike McCarthy was he couldn't get all the way to the top. And that's really been the same case here in Dallas. But the Cowboys looked great in week 1, I thought. They won 33-17, but really it felt like a way more dominant performance than the score showed. The Browns actually did lead early thanks to a field goal, but then Dallas just started running away fast. They scored 27 unanswered. Brandon Cooks caught a touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott rushed for 1, and Kevontae Turpin had a punt return score. I will say Dallas might have the most exciting special teams. Turpin is great, and add it to Brandon Aubrey, who is insanely good. It feels like he can hit from anywhere on the field, and he drilled 4 field goals on Sunday, all from at least 40 yards out. The Cowboys were up 27-3. The Browns did score, and then they added a garbage time touchdown too to make it a little bit more pretty, but it was a good day for Dallas. The Browns have a good defense, and I think it still was good. It also didn't feel like the Cowboys needed to do too much on the offensive side of the ball. Dak only threw for 179 yards. Zeke only rushed for 40 yards. But for Dallas, it's all about the defense. It always is. Trayvon Diggs and Eric Kendricks both had interception. The Cowboys had 6 sacks. Kendricks and DeMarcus Lawrence both had 2. Dan Quinn did a great job, obviously, in Dallas, but Mike Zimmer is already rolling, and it's easy when there's so much talent around him. And it also really, really helps when the opposing quarterback sucks. Deshaun Watson had a rough outing, which seems to be the norm. The Browns ditching Baker Mayfield, who, by the way, played fantastic on Sunday, and giving a guy with a bunch of sexual assault allegations a huge deal only for him to seemingly forget how to play the position is going to go down as one of the worst decisions in NFL history. Cleveland is actually a good team, I think, with good talent on the offensive side of the ball and a great defense, but it hasn't mattered. Watson has been so bad, and there are still 2 seasons left on his contract after 2024. It's an all-time bad move for sure. It's the kind of move you expect from the Browns. It is only week 1, so there is time for him to improve. And the same does go for Tom Brady up in the broadcast booth. It was his color commentary debut, and it could have gone better, but he's basically a rookie. There will be growing pains, just like an NFL quarterback. I just can't believe Brady is actually bad at something. He ended up getting on paper a very good game to call, but of course, the outcome wasn't great. Dallas kind of ran away very fast. It felt like it was competitive in the first quarter, and it felt like that was it. It was a heck of a win for the Cowboys. I think Dallas is going to have another fantastic season, at least in the regular season. Right now, I would take them to win the NFC East over the Eagles. Obviously, the Commanders and the Giants are not nearly as close. These are 2 teams that picked really high for a reason last year. Washington at least has a rookie quarterback, a new head coach. The Giants are just screwed, but it's the Eagles and the Cowboys fighting for the NFC East, and I 100% would take the Cowboys. I'm not a full Jalen Hurts believer. I think he struggled in week 1. I've always been a little skeptical of Hurts, but you look at Dak, and Dak has just been playing some incredible football for the past few seasons. He has a great wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb there to help him. I think the run game needs to get going a little bit more. I don't feel great with Zeke in that backfield. I wish Zeke at least had another guy there with him to help, but I do think the Cowboys are going to figure it out and have another great regular season and maybe win another division crown, but will they actually be able to to win in the postseason. That's why you extended Dak Prescott. It's why you extended CeeDee Lamb. It's why you've made all of these huge moves. It's why you're going to extend Micah Parsons. But the Cowboys have to get it done in the postseason.